So I think this is a really difficult time for the C-suite and CEOs from a publicity standpoint. And I think part of that decision-making process is, do I keep my PR in-house, or do I go and get outside experts? Do I hire a PR consultant or PR agency, right? So when a company is looking to make those sort of decisions, what should they be looking at? Whether they should go in-house or bring in a PR agency?
So good question. So yeah, there's a number of factors to consider there. Certainly budget, bandwidth, whether you've got somebody in-house or an agency team or person, there's a commitment there that you're making. In the best case scenarios, the ideal scenarios, it really is a partnership between a couple of key stakeholders internally, certainly the marketing team as well, and then the folks who are more so on the front line from a PR standpoint. I understand budgets are really tight right now. There's pluses and minuses on both sides. Certainly, I've been an agency person for decades, and now I've stepped out on my own. And I'd like to think that the position that I'm in now, I'm best suited to be helping clients make decisions like this, to suss it out based on those factors that we can look at. Financially, it's going to be probably less expensive in certain ways to go with an in-house person, but you have to look at the trade-offs for that. If you're losing the resources of having an agency partner with you, what's the cost of technology? We'll talk about measurement, I'm sure, in a little bit, because everybody does ask that question. But good measurement takes the ability to measure in advance and measure after, and you need software in order to do that. And you might not want to invest in that if you're an individual brand. That's why you have agencies who spend tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands, when you get to the bigger guys on technology. So those are some of the trade-offs. I think an arena that's working really well right now, I've seen a couple of things. So I've seen folks eliminate the PR department completely internally, even outsourcing their CMO. I think that's a really interesting structure right now. And then I also have seen folks that, again, are calling back their internal teams, but then bringing on somebody like myself, like some of my other partners that can be that outside voice, that play that devil's advocate. We have more exposure just by the nature of what we do. And it helps keep them on their toes and give them the perspective they need so they don't get a little too much, either, drinking their own Kool-Aid or living in their own bubble. Mm-hmm. Pick your metaphor. Yeah. So I think there's no black and white easy answer there.
Yeah. And I think there's no black and white easy answer for the measurement piece, right? Because
right.
You said money's tight across the board. And for all CEOs and C-suite, they're all looking at, what am I spending and what am I getting, right? PR is one of those areas that's difficult to measure directly. So when a CMO or CEO asks you sort of what's the ROI of your services or PR services, how do you answer that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We do get that historically all the time. And you're going to like my answer, because part of my answer is get a good digital guy, digital guy, digital girl, digital agency partner, whomever it is. If you are a true publicist, a communicator, that is your storyteller, that's your passion, creativity is where you live and breathe. Get yourself a nerd that can be your best friend, whether it's somebody internally at your company or externally as a consultant. And the reason why I say that is because, and again, David, I'm preaching to the choir here, but data and analytics and looking at things from a very scientific, logical standpoint is so important. And just because PR is a little more fluffy, if you will, is about storytelling at its heart, doesn't mean that you throw measurement out the window. It does mean you have to be a little creative with it sometimes, and you have to have great relationships and connections between your PR team and your SEO team or your SEO consultant. I mean, a lot of times it's crazy in this day and age, but these people don't talk. They're not connected. They don't understand that everybody is pulling the same cart, for the same team, ideally same goal. And you can help each other. So getting those baselines in place early on in terms of sentiment, not just thinking about eyeballs, is important. Technology is a big part of that, as we talked about earlier. Awesome analytics. And I would not say that awesome analytics is something that you should expect from your head of comm or PR. That's something that has to be done in partnership.
Yeah, I so agree with that. I think PR is just part of that holistic flywheel that we have from marketing efforts, and it's really difficult just to pull one factor out and say, well, what's the impact of that? It's difficult to a lot of times to, even with really good analytics, to be able to say, well, that sale happened just because they clicked on this PPC ad. Well, it might have been because they read an article with you in Fortune magazine and then went to the website and they checked you out on social. Then they came back and they did a search on your brand name and bought from an ad. But all those other touch points played a key role in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're more inundated than ever. I mean, I forget what the stat is up to now. You probably know. It's like we need 7-10 touch points before people start the consideration process and start things resonating. And that definitely word of mouth, their influencer programs, I do believe have their place still. Again, any of these tools in our marketing toolbox can be awesome assets when the lever is pulled the right way at the right time.
Karyn, this has been brilliant. So thank you very much. And
thanks, David.
You have an event that's coming up?
I do. Thanks for my shameless plug here. So I too have had to pivot during this time. And one of the ways I wanted to step up, that I thought I could do something a little bit different and help, was to provide an opportunity for a lot of these brands that have been hit really hard by COVID early on in the year, to get their marketing message out there for Q4. So long lead publications, sites, broadcast, they are thinking about holiday now, June, July. So on July 22nd, I have an event coming up called Holiday Product Preview, where we will be matching brands with select members of top tier media so that they can have one-on-one meeting. I don't like calling them pitch sessions, because really what I believe in is quality conversations, and matching up folks on both sides who have interest, where it's a symbiotic relationship between the member of the media and the brand. We don't do things based on volume. We're not looking to force folks to have meetings that they don't want to take. And the result of that historically is that brands have had amazing exposure and long-lasting relationships with media. So this is called Holiday Product Preview. It's July 22nd. Brands can sign up now. And also, am trying to do anything I can to help my part in this revolution. And so I'm offering 5 slots for free to Black-owned businesses. And I'm looking for those applicants now. So if you know anybody who has a Black-owned business where, again, retail holiday Q4 is going to be really important to them and they have national distribution, then please put them in touch with me, because I'd love to get them signed up for our event and get them some exposure.
That's great. And where can I reach you at?
So you can reach me at Karyn, Karyn, at goldenthreadagency.com.
Fantastic. Karyn, thank you.
Thanks so much, David.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.